You're listening to KBL Rock Radio. Y'all ladies done pissed me off.
Mr. Van Driesen.
Hey, was it Van Driesen? Was his
Mr. Van Driesen, yeah.
The English teacher?
The English teacher. As opposed to Buzzcut.
Oh, that was all. Kick me in the Jimmy.
Today in heavy metal history, Black Sabbath's debut album, Black Sabbath, is 50 years old. Happy birthday to heavy metal, really.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the 50th birthday of heavy metal, according to a lot of people. This album is widely considered to be the first heavy metal album, and the title track is considered to be the first ever doom metal song.
It's pretty dark, man.
When you're falling asleep to some doom metal in the future and somebody gives you some bullshit, just remember.
Thank Tony Iommi.
Just thank Tony Iommi, yep. They recorded the whole album in just one day during a 12-hour recording session. They recorded live to tape with Ozzy in a vocal booth. They just didn't have the money to be doing overdubs and spend a lot of time.
They had jobs to get back to.
Yeah. They finished recording in time that day for a drink. They got back to the pub and able to knock one back.
Dude, you can't even record a song nowadays in a day. You can't even
tune
record
up in a day.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave. Go on.
Yeah, it's true. Times were different back then. They were used to this kind of stuff. Recording everyone playing at the same time, playing to tape, was how bands did it back then.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right to point that out. They did have a second day of production, but that was really just for mixing. They did a couple of overdubs, but just on a couple of songs, just because they needed a lead guitar. You know, it had to happen. But they all seem to, even today, agree that this is their favorite album to work on. Bill Ward said they weren't old enough to be clever, and he loves everything about it, even the mistakes, which I think is awesome, man. If you're going to do something, especially when you're young, you just go balls to the wall, and you hit it as hard as you can, and you just
Nothing
have a
at
good
that
time.
time sounded anything like that. I mean,
and that's a good point, because they got panned. Everyone made fun of them. The Rolling Stone magazine, who you never listen to, but they always pan the good.
Yeah,
you know it's going to be a good band.
They hated Zeppelin.
Yes, they hated Zeppelin. Well, they hated Black Sabbath too. They called them.
hate Rolling Stone. It's
true.
Corporate trash.
They called Black Sabbath just like Cream, but worse.
But worse. Oh my God! Worse than the greatest power trio in the history of rock and roll.
I know, man. It's a pretty good bar. That's almost a compliment.
Right.
Another critic called the album.
I'm going to tell you what, though. That Aha, they're going to be something.
Fuck that, Oasis.
Another critic called the album the worst of counterculture, including drug-impaired reaction time and long solos. All of the best features of this album, I think.
Hey, I'll tell you something just to go off of that as well, which has nothing to do with metal, obviously, but when Chicago was coming out at the same time, their songs were ridiculously long.
Yeah.
And they owned the airwaves, and they couldn't believe what the hell's going on.
Their first 5 records were all double albums.
And they're like going, holy shit. How are people listening to this crap? How are we playing it on the radio?
Well, whenever there's a long song,
and then,
the radio stations, they cut them. They didn't
back then.
Yeah.
They didn't cut them. Yeah,
radio stations were independently owned.
AOR stations didn't.
Yeah.
Now they
Sabbath
hack it up.
And that's how Sabbath, dude. It just took like 2 DJs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bam. Done.
Yeah, and a little Payola probably. Because back then Payola was crazy. Payola, if you don't know, for those of you who aren't familiar with how this radio industry works, it's illegal now. Actually, they actually passed laws about this. But back in the day, bands and producers and labels would pay money to DJs directly. They pay cash to DJs to play their albums so they get airplay. And that's how bands got famous.
Capitalism.
Yes, it's capitalism. But it's also kind of bribery-ish. And the FCC, I guess, I don't know, whatever the machines.
Because you're going over the airwaves, you're going over things, you're leapfrogging certain things.
It's supposed to be fair.
But you're really leapfrogging the industry is all you're really goddamn doing. You know what I'm saying? It should be if you want to play it, you should be able to play whatever you want to. It's
and
your
then
show.
See what the response
you
is.
play what you want
and then
to.
When people call in and ask for it, then you play it more.
Yeah, well, it is a little dishonest to accept money for a play, though. Like, we wouldn't do that here, even if it was legal, we wouldn't do it. So, but
that's right, Dave. I'm not going to go put this back in my pocket.
So you're no whore.
Well, we are horse. We established that earlier. Earlier this very show, we established horse.
I swear.
And we
You
do
get
make
on your knees for no one.
right, and we are, we do pull more money than Ace Frehley, but that's about
Just slightly.
That's it.
Poor Ace. God, man.
Oh, those action figures. He should have gotten more money on them.
We could hire him on the show.
He's
Oh
on
my
a
God.
fucking lunchbox.
We
He
should
could
hire him
probably,
for the show.
he could probably come.
Dude, 3 sandwiches and he's here.
Just give him bar tab.
My God. Yeah,
Send
if
me a strip
you're
bar.
just tuning in, our True Metal Trivia featured Ace Frehley, and we were surprised at how unfortunate his career has been financially.
That's not true.
Gene screwed
because
him.
you're talking about, if I'm correct on this, is that we're talking about what he's worth right now,
Right.
not what
Yeah.
he's been
Not
worth
what he
over the
spent.
years.
That's true.
He's
So,
probably spent about
at
$24 million.
60-something years old, he's got $1 million in the bank.
Right.
Fuck it, that's good. Because
Yeah.
he blew $100 million. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
hope
I'm
so.
all right
I
with that.
can't-
I hope that's
I
the
can't
case.
believe
I hope so.
We've gone from like the birth of heavy metal back to Ace Frehley. How do we get back there?
It's a rocket ride, man. I don't know.
That was like, he's partially responsible for the de-evolution of metal or whatever you
Listen,
call it.
he
much.
shot bottle rockets from his guitar. That was awesome.
In case you're bad at math,
Shock me.
Black Sabbath,
I don't know what's going on.
this album came out in 1970, and today we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Black Sabbath's
That's
first
nuts.
album called Black Sabbath. They toured around in 1970, getting more and more popular, getting an underground following, and which obviously turned into an overground following. And so there's a lot of footage of them playing in 1970. They got
September of the same year they put out their second record.
well, in December, they were still touring on the first record. And so let's just hear a little bit. This is off of their self-titled album, Black Sabbath. This is NIB.
This is the True Metal Radio Show.